So at the moment I'm working on Tweedle Dum, and Tweedle Dum works with diagram, but not quite. It's got that one test that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. And also I noticed that the serial output is all messed up. It's all like screwed up. So I'll be looking for a commonality there, but I think I'm going to use the cap kit on Tweedle Dum because, you know, it's possible that might be the only thing wrong with it, since it's so close to working. I mean, is there going to be, there's no capacitors in line with the serial port. There's a couple of resistors, either they're on this end for the port, they're probably here, yeah. And the serial output, on a previous video I thought that serial output was coming from Akiko and from, bring my picture up here, and from Paula, but I didn't see any kind of serial input and output from Akiko on its pins, you know, send and receive. And it turns out that, and I'd already tested continuity between the edge connectors in send and receive and the keyboard / serial port, and I didn't see any I didn't see full continuity between the two. But that's because, so from Paula it goes straight out to the edge connector raw, and then goes over to here through a couple of resistors, so just a current limiting resistors, I guess. I don't know. It's not a pull up or pull down, it's an inline series resistor, so whatever that's for. But it's interesting the way the Paula output on this is kind of screwed up on the serial port. So I'm just trying to think about what would cause it to not boot with regular ROM and also not have usable serial. Because I just did serial on a good board and it's perfect. It looks perfect with putty. It looked perfect on the screen. I don't know if you can see that, but I don't think it's going to focus because I got the adapter on there. But it looks perfect. So this board is really close to working. It's just got something very minor wrong with it, and I guess I'm just going to have to. It's working so well that I mean, at least with Tweedle D, I've sort of narrowed it down to the processor. The processor's just not doing what it's supposed to do, whether it's because of some outside source or the processor itself is bad. That, I think, is where anybody at this point, unless they were one of the designers of the damn thing, of the Amiga or CD32, I think most people would look at replacing the processor. Yeah. And the 5 volt, I mean, +5 going into the processor doesn't have an excessive ripple on it or anything. One of these two caps is going to be doing that, filtering that or whatever. But in a way, this one's more difficult to diagnose because I'm not exactly sure where to look, and if I look at things, they're going to look normal, So, yeah, this one's a tough one. We do know that when we power up and we have output on the serial, we've got our TTL to serial device hooked up, we get some garbage here on the screen. I don't know if you could see that, but there should be all dots across here, but there's some garbage characters across here. It says go to www.grom.com. It's got garbage, and if I hit the space bar or something before it I should show you that too. Let me do this. Okay. If I hit any key toward the end of this boot up, you got to do it pretty quick, but it's right at the end. After it's done showing the different colors, right here, hit the key. Okay, so there, now you can really see how bad it looks. You know, I mean, that's pretty bad. Now on the working motherboard, this is perfect. There's absolutely no problems with it. So I want to show you something else. See, now this is a fail on my part because I should have done this before. But let's go to the sound audio tests. Okay. I only have one channel hooked up, the left, but it doesn't matter. Come on. The mouse stopped working. And I don't know if you can hear that, but I mean, granted it's 2 channels per side, 4 channels total, but 2 of them are on the left and 2 of them on the right. And I can't seem to have, and now I don't have any mouse control. The mouse no longer works. Can I use the keyboard here? Not really. After a while, the garbage that's coming over the serial port locks up. Yeah, the computer is locked up now. So what do we have? We have a problem. Yeah, the computer's just locked up. That's why I can't run the mouse. We have a problem with serial, with the serial port, and we have a problem with audio. Okay. Now I'm going to put up on the screen. I'm going to bring it up here, but that's not the right one. System overview. Well, that was the wrong one, but it's close enough. Okay, so I'll put this up on the screen right now. System overview. What does the serial port and the audio have in common? Why, they're coming from the same chip, Paula. Yeah, I think the computer, yeah, oh, that's nice. Look at that, huh? Woohoo! That's a complete freak out. All right, so enough of that. All right, and what does the Amiga need to do when it boots up a CD32? It needs not just to display the Workbench disk icon or Kickstart disk icon or whatever. It needs to play an animation and play some sound. So that goes back to the sound. And that might be why Diagram boots up, because it doesn't need to play any sounds when it boots up. But the Amiga ROM, the regular CD32 ROM, needs to play that animation. So my theory is that we have a bad Paula on the Tweedle Dum. Now I've replaced all the larger electrolytics and the 2 1000 microfarad, the 1 470 microfarad, and all the 100 microfarads. But there's a bunch of other ones that actually are related to audio. And so I'm going to finish recapping this board, and then if it doesn't work, I'm going to take the Paula out of the bad, Tweedledee, and put it into Tweedle Dum. And in the end, hopefully, we have a working CD32. I would be remiss if I didn't show the technique that I use doing this one, yeah. So I think I have to turn this a little bit actually now. Are we out of focus now? Maybe a little bit. Okay, so first, now some people say, oh yeah, you just grab it and twist it, without heating up the joints or anything, and just rip it off. No way, man. I know pads will come off if you do that eventually, so I'd rather not take that chance. So this is a lot more meticulous, but hey, you know, I guess that kind of describes me. So I'm just adding a little bit of solder, heating up the pads. I want to get a bit of solder on there. Okay, then you take your tweezers, and I'm heating up the pad that you can't see, and I'm going to give it a little twist, not very much, and then I'm going to go to the other side and twist in the same. Now I get a little more of a twist. What's that piece of junk? Okay, and over here, a little bit of a twist and pulling up a little bit too. Very careful about not pulling up too much. You'll pull the pad right off the darn computer. And we're making good progress here. This guy's gonna I gotta heat this longer, I think, over here. Come on. Okay, that's not bad. This one here, we're almost there. That one came up quite a bit. Okay, we've got that side off, and this side's on a hair. Yeah, I'm not going to pull it. There you go. Alright, so that came off, and anyway, so I'm just going to clean the pads a little bit. If there's an excessive amount of solder on these pads, then I will remove it. But there needs to be a little bit of solder on here. This one could use a little more. Okay, we got some nice pads going on. You guys can see that pretty well, I think so. Okay. Then we're going to grab our new cap. This is what I like to do. I don't know if I can do this where you can see it, but I guess I can just like stick it here. I want to tin it. I want to tin the contacts. So let's hold on to it. There we go. Just going to tin the contacts. One or two swipes. Just leave a little bit of solder on there. Okay, and other than those two caps that are backwards, and those are electrolytics anyway, all these SMD electrolytics actually have a shape on the bottom that follows the shape on the motherboard, so it's pretty easy to put it back in the same spot. I think I might need to should I put a little bit more solder on there, or how's this? That one looks pretty barren. I think that's better. Sometimes there's enough solder on your iron to get the job done. You know, you don't need to add any. But adding some has a value too, because you're adding the flux that's built into the solder, and that can help. Oh, it reminds me. I'd like to put just a little bit of chip quick flux on there. Not much. In fact, I can even dab some of the stuff I put on there. Okay, so hold it like this. Get this rear pad first here. Heat up the pad. Oh, I got the wrong angle here. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I'm pretty well lined up over here. Just gonna twist it just there. We go. That's a nice one. And I sound like Bob Ross. Just a little bit more solder back here. And that flux I put on there is helping me out, you know. And I'm also going to maybe push down on it a little bit, make sure we're seated all the way. Careful not to touch the iron. It's hard not to touch the iron when you do this. Push it down all the way. And there we go. I got a nice little blob on there. I think I want to put another little bit on here. Yeah, that's pretty good. Anyway, so I'm going to continue on that, and we'll come right back. Okay, moment of truth. Power's off. So this is just a recapping. That's all that's happened to this board as of now. Let's see if we've got... I think I should probably reset putty here. Okay, you ready? Alright, so far so good. Looks like we still have some garbage here. So, big surprise. I didn't actually think that this would work, but yeah, see what this is going to do is this is eventually going to lock the computer up. I can still move. Oh, yeah, I can still move. But if I leave this on long enough, it's going to kill the computer. It's getting worse. Yeah, so I'm thinking Paula, you know. We're looking at Paula as a potential issue, and we're looking at the inputs into Paula. Paula doesn't have a lot of inputs. It's got the bus, you know, the data bus going into it, of course. You know, that's where the instructions come for it to play music and do serial stuff. But there's also an interrupt request going into it. They just go into Paula, so I'm not sure why that is. I wouldn't think Paula was in charge of interrupt requests. I mean, that's all it lists int 2, and there's only 3 signals, and it's 2, 3, and 6. So that's kind of weird. Yeah, maybe I'll investigate that more. But at any rate, and Alice sends int 3, and int 2 and 6 come from Akiko. And Alice sends int 3, and int 3 gets sent to 2 places. It gets sent to Akiko and also Paula, and Paula actually gets all 3. So Paula's like the recipient of all this. And, you know, Paula is audio and I/O, so maybe these are just interrupt requests for I/O or something, or maybe she needs to have an interrupt request. Maybe these are interrupt requests just for her to play sound or whatever. But yeah, I tested those on the good board and Tweedle Dum, and I believe that the signals are coming into Paula, at least from what I could determine, without doing the elaborate thing yet of doing a logic analyzer. I'm not sure I'm going to go that far. That's going to take quite a lot of time, and I'd almost like to replace Paula first, just to see if that makes, because this is one of the easier chips to replace on this board. But yeah, these interrupt request signals are, you know, they're going up and down, but that's because the whole board is going up and down. So, and it has different symptoms. Sometimes it just sits there dead when I turn it on, and sometimes it does a continuous reset. So that's kind of weird, right? And I can hear some like interference on the audio while it's doing that, presumably when it's blinking and there's flashes on the screen. You know, that's kind of like, I would assume that if I had the light board, the lid plugged in to see the LED, it would be blinking, and then it would go, you know, it would go dim and then bright and then start blinking every time it rebooted. That's what it's doing, and the video gets cut off and put back on. So it's doing that now. Actually, it locked up right there. You can hear that noise. Hopefully that's, yeah, that's coming from Paula. What is Paula doing? Pretty certain though, the only reason why we get garbage out of Paula is, or garbage out of the serial, would be because of Paula. You know, I guess it's hypothetical that you would be receiving data that was garbage. That would be coming from the memory, I would assume. Diagram dumps directly to the serial, I think, without even going through memory, because when there's no functioning memory, like on a Amiga 500, Diagram just spits out stuff and you can see it on the serial port, even with no chip mem working. So that means that the Diagram doesn't use any memory, and it's outputting to the, and see, this might be another way to look, because when we first start this with Diagram, it looks clean. And then at some point after the memory test, I believe it loads things into memory. And then at that point, it's displaying stuff probably out of memory, because when there's no memory, it doesn't get that far. So having gotten that far, you can get a menu. Diagram will work in the most minimal of conditions that it possibly can. So that means that if the memory is faulty, not completely dead, but faulty, it may display garbage after it's done checking the memory, and then loading stuff actually into memory. So there still could be something wrong with the memory. But Diagram's memory checks that I perform on this motherboard all come out fine. So, you know, you would think that it wouldn't be having a problem with its memory. So, yeah, man, listen to that. Wow. That pretty much just comes straight out of Paula, you know. There's some passives along the way, capacitor, resistor, whatever. But this is what a bad chip does often, you know. Okay, here we go. We got a switched out Paula. And I checked the connections very carefully. Yeah, so we're going to give this a try. I cleaned it off with alcohol and let it dry for like 30 minutes before trying this, so. Oh my God. I was not expecting that to work. So my logic was correct. Paula was bad. And I have another working, oh my god, I don't even know how to react. I could scream and yell. Come on guys, this is Tweedle Dum that had one small problem, and it turns out the problem was Paula. We figured that out because Paula is the source of the serial output, and the serial output was fairly garbage. And also the audio wasn't working hardly at all, and that's also comes from Paula. Wow, I am freaking... Oh yes! I can put together another CD32. That's all I care about. I bought 2 boards, pretty much thinking that one of them might wind up being parts, and yeah, I mean, wow, this is so cool. I have a terrible fire sitting right here. Why don't we try it with that real quick? Might as well see what I'm doing here, huh? I mean, we're not 100% certain we've solved all of our problems or whatever, so extensive testing is required, you know, but oh, that's just, let me rip this tape off here carefully, because we know we're done now. Ugh. Sticky with the flux residue. I'll give the board another clean when I'm done. Oops, I hit the switch. Oh no! I hit the switch when I was plugging it in. Did I just break everything? Oh no. It works, guys. This is Tweedle Dum, and the terrible fire works. Wow. I'm so happy. I love this. This is great. Okay. Well, I'm not sure if I'll continue this video or... Yeah, I guess it's a good place to end it. You know, I fixed one of the boards. Awesome. Alright guys, thanks for watching. For the purposes of completeness and testing, we are going to try diagram. Yeah. There we go. Alright, let's see how... It's looking good. It's not all garbagey. Oh, I gotta hit the space bar. Yeah, alright, so look at that, huh? Looks pretty good. Now, let's do our audio tests. I could put you on the bigger screen. That might let you see a little better. Yep. Again, I'm only coming out of one channel. Yeah. Come on, mouse. There you go. using a mouse on a menu is not the easiest thing. So the graphics test, this is the only one that didn't jive with my theory that it was Paula. But, you know, I mean, what does Paula have to do with this test, right? But that's like the first time I've ever seen that work right out of the box. It's fine. Anyway, so I just thought I'd add that, this little snippet. This motherboard seems to be completely functional. It almost was before. It's just the one little issue with Paula. She didn't work. Thank you for watching.